Welcome along everybody to my good, bad and ugly review of the Monster Hunter Wilds beta that's been on the PlayStation 5 and the PC over the last few days, well, the week in the case of the PS5. I just want to give you my take of what I enjoyed, what I didn't enjoy. I've got some background footage going on, which is literally this footage I've recorded on the PC, and we've got some Monster Hunter soundtracks going on as well, just to your sheer pleasure. So the footage you got there is literally me with my bow and my dual blades, which are the two weapons that I will be taking as my primaries into base when it comes out in February/March. I'm going to start with the ugly. So I'm going to go ugly to bad to good. So first of all, the ugly. What is horrible about this game that I just think needs lots of improvement in the next few months? And for me, it's the performance, actually. Graphically wise, it looks okay. And I'll come on to a bit more of that shortly. But, you know, the game looks good. And anybody who tells you that it doesn't look good just doesn't know what they're talking about, to be perfectly honest. Is it the best looking game in the world? No. Is it PS3 graphics or PS2 graphics that I've seen some people band around? Certainly not. And I've actually had better sort of performance on the PlayStation 5 running it in 4K mode. I had no issues whatsoever. There was the odd texture popping coming in, but when I've switched over to the PC, and I've been playing the PC all weekend, and I've got about 20 hours in the PS5 version and about 15 in the PC version. Yeah, I've had about 6 crashes on the PC. Now, luckily it reports them sent back, and this is a beta, that's what it's for. But I've had a lot of crashes in that. On both systems, I've also had a lot of glitches. So as I said, you get textures popping in and out. And there's one of Cowboy's weapon guides, because I was really wanting to learn. I think it might have been the heavy bow gun, because it's the one of the bow guns that I just couldn't get. And I just remember just looking at it. Or no, it's the gun lance. It was the gun lance. Anyway, one of them. I was looking at it, and you could just see this texture popping in and out. It's like, okay, cool, good. It's not just me. Because again, you know, you've got to learn these weapons. That's why you look at guides, right? But yeah, there's a lot of texture popping, and I've had a lot of that coming in. And more so on the PC that I've noticed it in the last couple of days is, you might see it if it here. I can't remember if it's in this one or it's in my melee choice video that I did. We're fighting a Balahara, and it just disappeared off the screen and then just popped back in again. I'm like, what the hell? It's almost like it went to burrow underground and then just hit something and it just popped back in. So there's been a few issues with that performance type stuff that these can iron out in the next sort of 4 months. So I'm not worried too much about these hitting the main game. It is a beta after all. And that's the ugly stuff done. That's the real negative sour taste in the mouth. So we've got performance, I've said some crashes and some texture popping and a couple of glitches. Coming on to the bad, so we start at the worst and get better. Bad. Some of the combat felt floaty. And what I mean by floaty is there just doesn't have that impact. And there's 2 examples that I can probably think of. The first is when you dismount from Sacred and you go into the monster. It's almost like the monster doesn't have any hitboxes when you hit it. You always seem to float straight through the monster, no matter what weapon you're using, whether it be the great sword or, you know, the dual blades. You just fly straight through the monster, and it feels floaty. And I first picked this up when I was playing at the Lance as well, about the floaty gameplay, was that there's the guard counter, and you sort of raise your Lance up into the sky. And you just like you were floating. It's like, you know, you Mary Poppins with the umbrella coming out. And it was a little bit floaty on that. So, yeah, most of them not so bad. But there's just elements in nearly every single weapon that you just got that floatness. There's no impact or less impact behind. Whether that's a design decision or not, I do not know. But, yeah, feels a little bit floaty. And then the other thing, and it may be just the area that we're in, obviously it's a desert area, so this is going to sound really weird, but sometimes it looks quite grainy, especially more when you go back to the base. That can look like there's a film grain over it with sand covered all over it, like you've been out in the deserts fighting all these monsters and you come back and that sand is, you know, it's not just got in your trousers, it's got into the, you know, the camera that you're on as well, and it just felt a bit yeah, grainy on that sort of sense. The next, and you can probably see it on the screen right now, is there's a lot of elements to the UI, and especially when you start getting more and more people coming in with the pop-ups and everything, you can disable the, whatever you want on the screen as well. But the screen becomes very busy, and sometimes it just tracks away from everything. And yes, you can go into the settings, and if I don't want the map, I can get rid of the map. If I don't want the pop-ups from the fellow hunters as they join, or the community ones as they join, you can get rid of them, right? But they're there for a reason, and I quite like having a lot of information on the screen. Like what top right hand side, what combos I can do. I find that really useful, especially for me. I'm not a massive veteran in Monster Hunter, so I sometimes just need to have a little pick up and going, yes, this is what I can do, or actually, how have I just done this move? I don't know what I've just done. I know what it's called. People watching my content know what I'm doing because they can see the move that I'm doing, and you can just see other combos. So I find that really helpful as you're playing. Probably after 100 hours, probably turn that off, right? But it does seem sometimes a little bit crowded on the screen. The next one I want to talk about is sacred spam. So sacred is your mount, and you can literally sheathe your weapon, push up on the D-pad, and sacred will come to pick you up, and you can just zip straight out of the battle. And then while you're on that, you can then actually just bring up the map, teleport away. No farcasters, just back away. And if you're running out of sharpness, you can call sacred, you can do circles around the monster, you can sharpen, you can heal, you can get back in. I'd like that to be on a cooldown or not as spammable. Or for when you push up on that D-pad, it takes longer for sacred to come to you because it is spammable and can detract from the flow. Thankfully, I don't always do it often, but there's some cases where I'm dire, I'm down, I've had 2 faints, and every hit point counts. Bam, spam away. And then the last sort of bad element that I found was when you're on sacred, you can push down the trigger. I think it's left trigger, and or L2, and you can grab items. You can push the circle, you can push B button, and you can pick items up as you're navigating around. And yeah, I sometimes find it really hit or miss. Sometimes you have to look directly at the thing. So if you get the initial herb, as you come out of the base camp, there's a herb, you can grab that. And then there's other bits and bobs that you're running past them and you think you've got it and you hook it and it just doesn't get it. So I find it quite finicky. So I think I just need to tidy that up a little bit just around that grabbing items. I'll come on to grabbing items again in the good bit because there is some goodness to it. But just in that bad side, I just think, yeah, we need that to be a little bit more polished. And then the other sort of bad thing, and the final bad thing that I just want to talk about, is actually sacred's pathing. So as many time you jump on him, the monster moves off to a different area, and they sometimes cover vast distances, when they're going out and about. And you push it up, and that's an auto track, so you can look at your phone, you can sharpen, you can heal, you don't have to manually steer, you go from A to B, you can pick up items as you're going. Really, really good, really a good addition. But the tracking sometimes is terrible, and that's maybe because at the time you get to a certain point, the monster's at a certain location and there's a shorter way. But instead of doing that, instead of going to the try and get you towards the final piece or the final area, it tries to take it to the shortest point of where it is, almost like real-time Google Maps, where it wants you to go down the real narrow streets and stuff inappropriately when it's just stick to the main path, right? So yeah, I find it sometimes annoying, and you're going down and then suddenly it turns around and you go back, and it just becomes a little bit counterintuitive and frustrating at that. So yeah, so that's the bad bits. A couple of things about sacred, so the spam and the tracking. About the grabbing items is a bit weird off sacred as well. UI being a little bit overcrowded at times, graininess of it, and some of the floaty combat every now and then. Again, just on all of them, it's not all of it, it's not 100% of the time, it's just like inconsistency behind some of that. There's the ugly, there's the bad. Let's get on to the stuff that I really did enjoy. First things first, let's talk about the map. So the map is massive. It is detailed. There's so many areas to explore. If you if you think of something like what's a good map? The Elder's Recess is quite big. This map is probably up there with Hoarfrost Reach, even bigger than that. And Hoarfrost Reach is quite a big map. Bigger than that. It's bigger than Wildspire Wastes. You know, it's Coral Highlands. Well, there you can see it. It's on the map on there right now. It's humongous. You've got all these like nooks and cranny bits. Then you've got the big open areas. You've got the massive sandy bit where you fight radar. And then towards the end, there's I found out there's an oasis right in the middle, and there's a little path you can go down. And I think it might be the end of this fight if this fight is still going by the time I get there. At the end, I just zip around and find a snowy area that I didn't really know about. There's the secret, by the way, as I was talking about. It sort of nips back in and then cuts back out again. Really annoying. Yeah, it's massive. It's detailed. So yeah, different areas you can go in, and the point I was getting to, where the oasis is, where you actually pick your first weapon off the start. Just like over that dune, as you can see it there. You go down. There's a little bit of a snowy bit underneath. Yeah. Who knew that? I didn't. I haven't really explored that much until I was just doing this B-roll footage. And there's different areas to explore that, and different camps you can put up, which are really, really good. So you can get back out, and they're temporary, so monsters can trample through them, so they're not always going to be there. Amazing. I also like the detail on the map as well. It's really clean. You understand what's there. Sometimes I've found the maps within World, especially, quite difficult to locate where you wanted things. You get up and down tiers. So I'm hoping they keep it very similar, quite clean like this. The UI I've moaned about. The map, I think, is perfect. So yeah, there's that. A couple of other things. I'm just going to comment on the combat. Obviously, I've said it's floaty at times. It holds that essence of what we've all come to know and love from Monster Hunter. I've played World Iceborne, Rise Sunbreak. They're the only two base games that I've played, and I've enjoyed it. And the one thing I've enjoyed about Wilds specifically is I was a longsword main in a World, and then I went into Lance for my replay. I did the light bow gun playthrough with Rise, and I've come away now being a bow and a dual blades is what I'm going to go in with for release. And I think that's a testament to the battles that you come in, you play them, and you go, do you know what, this is just what's clicked. When I play the others, they're the weapons that clicked. And if there's another beta beforehand, just before, or this demo comes out for people to do, I'll come back in and I'll just reconfirm that the bow and the dual blades are what I want. Am I amazing at them? No. Especially the bow, I need a lot of practice with the bow to just get the rotations down. But the combat's amazing. And, just have to say that. Probably should have said that before the map, but off the list that I was writing, that was second down. The next one I want to talk about, and a new addition in Wilds, is the optimal healing and status. So when you push down left bumper or L1 on the controller, you bring up your radial menus like you've had before, where you can select your healing and stuff. So you used to have mega potions, ancient potions, and all of this stuff. What's amazing for Wilds and what keeps the flow going is that optimal healing. So do you know what? I just need to use a potion. So it uses a potion. It decides what you need. I've got no health. It's going to just put into a mega potion if you have them. I'm guessing once, if you had honey and stuff, you would craft as well on the go and do all that stuff. And similarly, if you get like lightning blight from fighting, I'll call it radar, but radar, you can go in and it will automatically use a nullberry for you because it already picks that you got a nullberry. It's one of those ones, like if you were to get poisoned as well, I'm sure it would go straight in and would pick an antidote, for instance. I think that is such a quality of life change. Instead of having to flick through your bar or flick around or just have to think, oh God, what have I got? I've got this. I don't know what clears it. Optimal healing, and it's done. Brilliant. Fourth on the list is just a monster design, really. There's four main monsters that we got to fight. The Chatacabra, the Alpha Doshugamu, Balahara, as you're seeing on the screen now, and Radar. Four completely different monsters in their makeup, their designs. You've got Chatacabra, which is just like a little frog thing. Pretty simple, pretty easy, amazing starter monster, like the Great Chagras, for instance. Doesn't hit particularly hard, and you get to practice your weapon on it, and you then take that weapon and think, oh cool, that's gelled with me, let's go and take it out against something a bit harder, and then you get obliterated, i.e. my greatsword playthrough. If you ever see my greatsword run or test, yeah, it was terrible. And then you come in and the monsters are so good, and they're so unique. Like, I love the fact that with the Alpha Doshigamu, that you have to throw Dung Bomb at it. If not, you try and fight all three, and you just get annihilated. I've yet to see, and there's probably someone out there who's done it because they're narcissists, but they've gone out and actually defeated all three of them and at once on their own. But yeah, that was really good. This dude popping the sand is like I think I called on one of my weapon playthroughs. It's like a Diablo mixed with something else. I can't remember what it was at the time. But I love the fact he goes underground. You have to use screamer pods to bring him up. And that's just using more interactable. So one of the weaknesses, I think, of the other two that I've played is you don't really need screamer pods. You can use them against Diablos if you want, but you can just, especially if you're like a lance main, you just sit there and just tank it, right? But it does actually mean you can get in and do some damage, bring them up, use their weaknesses to exploit them and stuff like that. So yeah, monster design really, really good. The other thing I liked about the monsters is they all have like a big move. So Radar has his electric stuff. The Chatacabra has his like tongue move that comes out, and Balahara, he has like a spit move, and there's a big wind up for the Alpha Doshigami, and it always hits me, so I never get to counter it, but he stands up and he does like an earthquake move, and it just spits earth everywhere. After all of their moves, they're vulnerable for a short period of time, and you can do the wound counter against them on their areas. And that's one thing I forgot to talk about in combat, so we'll nip back to that shortly. But yeah, just doing that, so you get punished for their big moves. So like when you go and do your combos, and you try and do, like if I was to do Dragon Piercer here, I'm stationary. It's got a massive like wind down from it. This actually is the popping as well. I think we'll keep an eye on what happens here when I was talking about a weapon pop, an enemy popping out. Yeah, there you go, bang. It just pops out weird. That's the reason why I had this footage in. Yeah, they do their big moves, they're vulnerable. We do our big moves, they're vulnerable. I think that balances it out really nicely. Yeah, so that's really, really good. Wound strikes, let's just nip back to that. Again, really good addition. Obviously you had wounding and tenderizing as part of World Iceborne. It was taken to the next level, tying in some really, really good abilities to them. Again, punishing for them, and you just put them into the rotation, and they don't feel cumbersome to do. There are some weapons that I struggled to get the wound. So you push R1 or RB in, and you do your attack around it. And there's some weapons I found easier to exploit than others. This one, let's say the bow, for instance, pretty decent. It literally targets it and it fires an arrow at it. But yeah, I think that's a really good addition. So just nipping back to the combat bit. Monster design, amazing. Another one, and you don't get much of it because there's not much cutscenes, but the voice acting so far seems really good. And this is the snowy area as well that I was just exploring. Is it snowy? Yeah, I guess it is snowy. Because it's called the Snow Herd Pool. The voice acting is really good, so the opening cutscenes and stuff looks really good. The combat, the voicing in that is really good, so I've got really high expectations for that. I love the fact that your Palico is now voiced. So you actually get to hear when it says, "Oh, heals incoming." You don't have to have the subtitles on to do that. You can hear that as well. Absolutely brilliant. I want to also give a shout out to the cooking UI. It's really, really super helpful. You put an ingredient in, it tells you what you could get out of it. Instead of having to hit or miss and do some stuff, it's almost like the Dango from Rise. It's yeah, just really, really good. It's tells you what you're going to get, what skills you can get. You can mix and match between the two, so you put your ration in, so fish, meat, or veg. gives you attack defense or elemental defense. And then you've got abilities off the others. Amazing. Expecting that to expand as you unlock more ingredients. Grabbing. So we obviously spoke about grabbing off Sacred being a little bit hit or miss. I love the concept of that. It means you can just get from A to B back to the monster, picking up some resource on a time, and you don't have to sort of trudge around. The only thing you can't pick up is mines. You have to go over and just tap on a mining node. Everything else that you see, you can just pick up. Bang. Thank you very much. Fire it out and done. The next thing I want to talk about, and again, it sort of links into the maps, is just the changing weather conditions, the night and day cycle. If it's daytime, you get some normal sort of packs of just basic animals coming out and about. At night time, they're not there. And I just think that's really, really good. And from my understanding is depending on whether it's night or day, certain elements will work, some won't. So I want to see that in its full force. Really like that. And then the final thing that I found amazing in this is just double weapons, actually. So you can sit there, you go into Sacred, push right on the D-pad, you change your weapon. I have a few concerns off the back of it, that if you're selecting two weapons that are completely different from each other, that need completely different armor sets, that second weapon that you're not set up for is going to be underpowered. But I like the concept of, do you know what? I'm going in with my dual blades. I'm not getting it done. I just need some range. Instead of having to far cast back to a camp, you just go, boom, I want to go into this now. Thank you very much. And I want to just go. Talking about UI and stuff, you probably just saw it judder while I was in the camp there. That's just an example of where that just needs a bit of optimization. I did crash as well. So if this goes black, it's me crashing, but we're nearly at the end of the video anyway, so you probably won't see that. But yeah, double weapons. I just think they're such a really good concept of using Sacred. And you get them really early, I'm guessing, in the story, because chapter 1, you get him. And yeah, I'm just really, really excited to see how that sort of expands. I guess you can't really take armor with you, but I can see it being useful until it's not. So if you're running like a gun lance and you've got full bombardier stuff on, really defensive coming in, and then you try and play something like dual blades, which is probably, this is the crash at the moment on the screen, which you don't actually see, which is a bit weird, is a pop-up saying it's going to send the crash report. So let me skip forward a little bit here for you. Got the quest leader, and I backed out, and then radar. Let's just get that going. But yeah, interesting to see how that plays out, because the one concern I've got is you set yourself up for one skill or one weapon. It seems like it's more for take two dual blades, this one and that one, and if this one's unsuccessful, you can take the other one. But I'm going to probably take out my ranged weapon, melee weapon, and see where we go from there. This is my favourite monster that's there, and that's my favourite focus strike. The turning tide is just beautiful. Yeah, that's the good. You got the map, the combat, the optional health and status healing, just the monsters in general, the voice acting, the cooking UI, the grabbing mechanic, the double weapons, and the changing weather. I think just exceptionally well done, and I just want to play some more. But yeah, that's been my ugly, bad, and good review of the beta for Monster Hunter Wilds. Comes out end of February, March, and yeah, I think that is what we call here. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. It really has helped me out. If you're looking for a full playthrough of Rise and World, they're on their channels as well, and there'll be a full playthrough of Wilds when it releases next year. Thank you very much. I am Paul. This has been Monster Hunter Wilds beta, and I'll see you all in the next one.